going to make this video to share a conversation because this is a common conversation I have with people. And I figured that if I shared some of my conversations, then maybe so many people wouldn't ask me the same questions over and over. So it's a kind of a podcast type thing. I'm sorry I look like shit, but I've been up for days and I've got all kinds of shit going on with the doctors and stuff right now. So I don't have much time, but I have tonight. So I wanted to make a video to share with you guys. It starts out, hey, would you like to, I would like, if I can talk, I'm sorry, it's probably going to be a lot of that. Hey, would you, no, it's not my fault, they have a typo. It says, hey, I would like to correspond with you, is what it should say. I said, sounds great. Anything in particular you have in mind? Sorry, this is going to take me a minute to get used to. They say, I sometimes watch intersex videos and I like them, but I wanted to know if having a vaginal canal, I guess, and penis in the body is the only type of intersex, and if intersex people use their vagina or their penis to urinate. Like, what's their main character? Feminine or masculine? Do they have breasts, but in looks they could look feminine or masculine? And I said, I'm sure you can imagine it's not a one-size-fits-all type thing. Each of those things can vary from person to person. Not all intersex conditions are the same, and even with the same condition, not everyone presents the same, even though the genetics are technically the same type. Some conditions are not in themselves intersex conditions, but intersex anomalies that may present in certain individuals. And in effect, all those questions are variables and differ from person to person. God, I can't even read what I wrote. I said, but keep in mind all variations of intersex are made up of the same core components, and all bodies start out in utero as females. Intersex conditions are cases where either females overdeveloped or males carry leftover female biology. Sometimes there is a breakdown and some redundancy occurs, and you end up with ovaries and testicles. That is a very rare condition and the only form of true hermaphroditism. Most cases are just females with undescended testicle or some differentiation in hormones, causing feminine growth patterns or vice versa. Genital anomalies can vary widely, but are generally dysfunctional if there is an anomaly. If intersex genitalia is present, it is, at least in my case, all one part. All humans, male and female, develop from the same blueprint. So in my case, which is the only true hermaphroditic genitals I've ever seen, but that doesn't mean there's nobody else. It just means I've never personally seen another case of it in person. I've noticed it in medical reference. But that was me adding context because I should have said that before. Shit. At least in my case, all one part. All humans, male and female. I'm sorry, I should be better prepared to keep my track here. All humans, male and female, develop from the same blueprint. So in my case, which is the only truly hermaphroditic genitals I've seen, which I just described what I meant, intersex and hermaphroditism are not equal. Intersex doesn't equal hermaphroditism, but all hermaphrodites are intersex. That means that not all intersex people can have sex both ways. In me, my urethra extends through my phallus like a boy. I haven't yet had issues with that. I may in the future. I met a similar person who had their similar genetics or biology to me, who had been operated when they were a child. They did have issues peeing and had to undergo several surgeries and was never right. They were 20 or 30 years old when I met them and they were still having problems. They didn't use their female anatomy the way I do. It hurt them. Short of that, none of the intersex people I've been close enough to interact with had phalluses. Just essentially female genitalia with some odd differences both internally and externally. Keep in mind that I haven't been intimate with every intersex person I have been affiliated with, but I did learn a lot about the biological sciences behind each condition in my search to figure out what was wrong with me. Most of what you see is bullshit, like pornography and stuff like that. Medical references, if you're looking something up on PubMed or at NIH, you can count on it being true. Is bullshit. I am the most open about my sexuality of anyone I've ever seen that is intersex. People taking hormones and feminization are not intersex, though intersex people may do those things too. Intersex differentiation is, for the most part, on the inside. That's with everybody, either with the reproductive organs or with their genetics, oftentimes both. The reason I am open about it is, read here, that I have a lot of non-sexual health issues as a result of the same condition that causes the intersex anomalies in my body, so I'm always having to talk about it. I was also subjected to repeated sexual trauma all throughout my life, and my way of dealing with that is trying to educate and garner interest. I just got to keep an eye on my time here. Sorry, I had problems with typos here I had to correct. So they go on to say, but isn't there one thing in common that intersex people have both a vagina and a penis? Do you also have both, and which one do you use for urination? I thought I just answered that. Do you feel more feminine or masculine? Also, hold on. Thank you for such a detailed explanation. I read you what they said here. I'm not browbeating myself. Thanks for your openness. You seem to be such a good human. I am feminine, but not intersex. I present myself as male for the outside world, so they're dealing with some issues there. I hope they can figure that out. I have both. Let me back again. The female anatomy is blurred and obscure, but there's no other way of rationalizing my differences. Just too many of them. The doctors avoid discussing anything about it with me, to the point of malpractice. And the severe issues I have apparently are not severe enough, since it's not an emergency type thing yet. When it becomes an emergency, it's too late. And they just gaslight my symptoms and issues. No matter what I try to tell them or show them about, you look, this is consistent with what I'm telling you, they just ignore it completely and tell me, no, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just, well, what can I do? Got to go somewhere else. So that kind of destroys my confidence. It really does. When people are always telling me I'm not what I am and lying about science in order to get me away from them, it just is damaging. And I mean, look at me, man. I really have to fucking be having a good day to look right, So what the fuck? But I'm honest with myself, and I try to deal with it the best I can, and I try to make myself better. What am I gonna do? At the same time, I'm getting older. It's working against me here. Anyway, I want to stay on track with this. It destroys my confidence on a superficial level, because any deep self-reflection that I have, and there's not really any question. My partners have all told me that I'm different, but I'd have to be both sexes myself, individually and separately, to really understand what is affiliated with which sex. I can't really tell the difference because I have both. So unless I experienced it as only having one, I wouldn't really be able to understand the differences that are inside and outside and whatnot. Nerves are weird, man. So, but that's more a psychological issue there, to be honest. Nowadays, I don't really identify with either sex, and at the same time with both. But intellectually, I'm female. And as for desire, fantasy, I'm female. Oh yeah, I can scroll this so I don't have to look around the phone. It's how I bang myself, so anytime I get off, I'm doing it like a girl, so I'm not even going to get into it. My body's weird. Blah, blah, blah. As for how I bang myself female, which is a whole nother rabbit hole, which is why I said I'm not going to get into it. I had 2 or 3 vaginas there, and I don't know what else. And penis, and way too much. As for pissing, I do it like a guy. Kinda. It's not exactly the same. Outwardly. it's hard to explain. If you were watching me, it looked like a guy for the most part, but it's different. There's so many details to explain. I didn't want to go into it on this, so I just left it at that. I have a unusually small bladder as well, and my urethra, before it enters or exits uh, into the phallus, whatever, behind my hip, my pelvis. That's basically what I said here. It's either pinched by my vaginal canal or wrapped around something. It's like, it's not always hard to pee, but like certain times it's really, really hard. I have to bend down and do all kinds of fucking acrobatics and shit. It takes 20 or 30 minutes, and it's complicated. I got to squat down and fucking stand up and lean up. It's too much to talk about. Unless you really want to know about it, I'll make a video about pissing. I'll even show you guys. So, yeah, scroll here again. I'm sorry, I'm so shitty at this. My first attempt at fucking sharing actual intersex information that people want to know. So, whatever, but inside, like before it gets to the pelvic wall. Either it's pinched or wrapped around something. I don't know, but it's weird. And all I ever piss is a little bit at a time, like less than a cup. And 30 to 45 minutes later, I have to go again. It's not always like that, but it's like my bladder can only process a cup at a time. I don't know, it's hard to describe. And do you have any, so they asked, do you have any family to help support you in your struggles? And this is the fucked up thing here. No, my family couldn't deal with it. They always treated me how they thought I should be. And when it became evident, it gets a little confusing here because my parents, at least my stepmother and her mother and father, because her mother was a nurse and she was in the medical field, they knew and discussed about other hermaphrodites and how I was like them when I was a child, but they never let me know whatever they knew. I don't understand really. I just put pieces together, and not until I was like 19 years old. I mean, it took me a long time to figure it out. Now, inside, my psychology has always been a little bit different. I mean, way different, but I had to ask her some questions recently in a psychological interview to get into this fucking program at a hospital. And they were asking me, you know, like, when did you, this is off the subject from this, but it's on the same thing that I was talking about. They were saying, like, when did you start to realize that you were, you know, fucked up in the head? And I said, you know, it was, I was a girl first. And then I learned that everybody thought I was a boy and they beat it into me, you know, so there was never, it was never the other way around like you would think. I mean, based on my appearance, how I would transition this, it was never like that. My psychology, from my moment of self-recognition, anytime that gender was brought into identifying myself, I always felt I was female. But as I got older and people were trying to teach me to be a boy and whatnot, you know, drill it into me, my dad wanted a boy, so I really tried to please him. I began to have role models of both sexes, but at first it was all females. And I think that's kind of how you start to understand yourself, is who you identify with. So, let's see. When I got older and began to understand myself by doing research on what was different about me, I was open with my family, and it's ironic because I think I have 13 siblings altogether, and some of them are dead. That's why the number's more if I count the dead ones. I think 9 are sisters, and none of them could reconcile the way they had treated me. They talked a good talk, but they wanted to keep on treating me like I was male. They didn't actually have any respect for me as a person, no matter which sex I was. So after my dad died, the whole family dynamic kind of fell apart, and I didn't really try to stop it. What can I do if all they want to do is abuse me? I have severe social anxiety and PTSD from not only my problems at home when I was growing up, but I hit the streets when I was 7 the first time and 11 for good. There was a lot of trouble with that and experiences I had. I was also in institutions and had traumatizing experiences sexually, so I was subjected to sexual abuse on both the streets as a child and in institutions. Hold on, I scrolled way too far here. When I finally got out and away from the restrictions, of being underage. I'm sorry, there was a typo there. It said have been underage, and it's of being underage. I was able to get a job and stuff, get a house, getting into relationships. I actually did that before I got a house. But even the relationships were traumatizing to me because nobody could really understand, especially after I understood myself. Um, the physical part they could understand enough about to do things, but they always wanted what they wanted. I mean, they'd be real excited to find out about me, and then they'd pick a piece that they wanted, and that's all they wanted to focus on. And I was never really about that. It was never really about what I wanted. So, like, I'm supposed to be your girl, and you don't give a fuck what I want, and, the relationship's gonna fall apart. Because I guess I'm weak as a person, too. I don't bend over backwards for people. I don't know, but it never works in the long run. Now, in my defense, my relationships have always been about 10 years, but in the end, without mutual respect, they fall apart. God, I need to remember I can scroll here. I'm trying to look around the phone. Forgive the erratic speech patterns here. I'm using speech to text. That's why I got fucking. I tried to correct them. What I was trying to say is that all of that amounted to severe PTSD, agoraphobia, severe social anxiety, and I'm stuck talking to a fucking cell phone so I can communicate with other people in the world just to react to me. That being said, I can't deal with the reaction anymore. Like everywhere I go, people just freak out. Like if I tell them, they freak out. If I don't tell them, they can tell something's different about me. My psychiatrist told me I'm visibly different as a human. So, I mean, I can understand people feeling uneasy, but at the same time, that doesn't excuse disrespect towards me just because they feel like I should be something that they understand based on limited perception of what I am. And especially when I'm going out and all defensive like that, of course I look tough. I got to defend myself all the time, man. I can't be a little flower walking around out in the middle of a stampede. Shit. All right, so I just can't deal with the reactions anymore. It's been the last 10 or 15, 20 years. So I just have withdrawn from society so much that I don't know anybody. I try to maintain an online presence. I have a YouTube. I try to post there. Quora, Facebook, Twitter, but really YouTube and FetLife are all I really use anymore. And I'm disabled, so that makes it worse because it keeps getting worse. When I was 37, I wasn't disabled. I've gotten completely immobile and housebound and all this other shit. I can't drive anymore. It's just my body's falling apart on me, and they literally, because connective tissue means you hyperextend, so I'm literally falling apart, and I go back together and then I fall apart, but I get hurt every time. And I just can't deal with it anymore. I'm constantly struggling. It's not that I can't tell people, it's that they can't handle it when I tell them. And I can't not tell them because they automatically know that something about me is different. And if I don't tell them, then they think I'm hiding something else. So I found out it's better that they know I'm intersex rather than think I'm hiding bodies in my basement. Because I'm not. Maybe some rats or something. I don't even think that because I've got really sensitive smell and shit. Can't handle anything. Dirt, fucking, yeah. I mean, I know my place is a mess, but that's like papers and computers and shit. I mean, not bugs and fucking dirt. Well, dirt a little bit, but not roaches and old food and shit like that. Man, trash. And fucking pick that shit up. And you see shit laying around me, it's all fucking shit I'm working on or paperwork fucking everywhere right now. Let's see here. Oh, I just can't handle the gaslighting and disrespect, so I stay away from people in real life. Online, I have a chance to present myself. I can proofread what I say and correct my mistakes. I really try to do that. It's a little bit difficult with speech to text, but it's better because there's a written history that they can reflect on, and I know I presented myself so that if there's any disrespect, I can point it out. But it never really comes to that. Online, online is pretty much the same thing. People can't handle it, but it doesn't have that trauma of putting me into shock face to face. The physical problems I have include adrenal problems. It's one of the main issues. my heart, and like going into shock, freaking out because I can't brain fog and shit like that. CAH really fucked me up first. Even though the Ehlers-Danlos was working before CAH was a problem, Ehlers-Danlos was deteriorating me. I just didn't know what it was. It wasn't that bad yet. But now, with CAH attacking me for the last, since the end of 2013, so I've been dealing with adrenal problems since then. And when that happened, my adrenals collapsed. The Ehlers-Danlos just really, it took over, man. It started going into hyperspeed. So now the Ehlers-Danlos has outpaced the CAH, and the CAH was like an atom bomb hit me, and then the Ehlers-Danlos took a while to take effect after that for me to notice. And in 2016, I did some research and found out that it was associated, and then everything made sense. But let's see. I'm sorry to keep getting off this thing here. And this isn't a written history, I know. It's a little bit difficult for you guys to follow because I got to keep finding my place and I keep getting sidetracked. The physical problems I have include adrenal problems, which is one of the main issues. The other being connective tissue disorder, which I've already explained, which basically means all my joints are loose. They slip out of socket and pinch nerves when they go back in, and that causes severe permanent damage. Sometimes it's nice to be hyper extensive, but not all the time. I mean, I fold up and stuff, but it's not like I want to do it all the time. And I definitely don't want to reach too far when I'm going to pick something up, and that's what happens. And when that happens, it hurts. And walking around, my legs and feet, like my hips dislocate, my knees dislocate, and my ankles dislocate. So it's really hard. And typing, my hands, my fingers, on my tendons, all that shit, it hurts really bad. And using tools, which really sucks because I'm an inventor. They say, I'll get back to you soon. Hang in there. I know life can be tough and actually painful. I said, I have a tendency to overcome in spite of my disposition, but it is indeed difficult. They say, can we talk on the phone? Everybody asks me this too. I say, sorry it took me so long because it took me a week or two. So long to answer. I'm running ragged here with doctor appointments, trying to get a handle on my health situation. They're like every other day, but it's a weekend now, so I got a chance to catch up. And I'm adrenally fatigued, so I'm already running on empty, and I gotta, wake up at 6 and fucking run out of town until 5 when I can get back here, and then I'm just wiped out, man. I don't really go to sleep, but I'm just dragging ass if I can do anything. I'm running ragged here with doctor appointments, trying to get a handle on my health situation, and it might be coming to a head with as many people as are involved now. All of them saying, I don't know what the fuck, go see somebody else, and so on and so on and so on. Anyway, about your question, I generally don't jump into phone conversations until I know someone a little better. I mean, I've only answered a couple of, less than one paragraph questions here. Until I know someone a little better. But if you had a conversation you were wanting to discuss with me, you could let me know and I might break my tradition. I know some subjects are elaborate to discuss, and that's kind of part of my reservation. I kind of want to see someone invest their time in me before hold on here, I'll try to be silly. I kind of want somebody to invest their time in me if they want all my dirty little secrets. Well, kind of especially that. So many people poke and prod me, and I spend a lot of time explaining things, which is why I'm making this fucking video. And I never see a return on my investment. Like, the conversations are elaborate because it's hard on my part for me to explain. But afterwards, they aren't really interested in me as a person, and that hurts. I'm more than just science. Like, they find out all about intersex and all that. I mean, you can see my pictures. It's about the best I can do without a board scope. But they're interested in the mechanics of it. And so it takes me, this is just a couple questions, and you see how long it takes me to answer them. And I've concluded it with, our conversation has been good so far, but I am unclear on your intentions. If you just want to find out about the condition, I'd rather keep my number private. Because if you're not a friend, I don't want you having my phone number. No offense. And then they haven't gotten back with me because I wrote that an hour ago. But it was a good conversation, and I figured I would share it with everybody because it doesn't it doesn't out them, and it answers questions that a lot of people ask me. And really, I've talked to absolutely thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people over the years, and everybody asks about the same 50 questions, you know. So I've typed all this shit out so many fucking times that I have a pretty good handle on what I have to say. And I've also, it's been a learning curve for me too, because I didn't know what my condition was. Like I said, I didn't understand the connection between Ehlers-Danlos and congenital adrenal hyperplasia until 2015, 2016. So it's been a learning curve for me too. And I didn't know about either of those until after 2013, when I had the adrenal fatigue start after an injury, which is common. Everybody who has late onset congenital adrenal hyperplasia, which is CAH for short, everybody that has it, generally it doesn't manifest in their early life, and if they don't have a rough life, it might not manifest at all. But if they have an accident midlife, like a car accident, if they fall off a roof, some shit like that, I got hit in the chest with a power tool. So like if something like that happens and it causes major trauma, even emotional trauma, and my dad had just died and then I got injured, so when that happened, it just made my adrenals just basically blew the fuck up. They couldn't take it. They had been pumping it over prior to that in your early life. They uh, and until you have the adrenal collapse, they overcompensate. So like basically, your body runs on adrenaline. You still have to eat and shit, but you have a lot more energy. At least in my case, my dad's case, and my daughter's case, we all have a lot more energy. We can just like the Energizer Bunny, you know, and more stamina, more endurance. Uh, it, uh, one of the side effects of CAH is enhanced spatial abilities. So that means like you can build stuff without having to. My dad was real meticulous about measuring stuff, but I can just eyeball stuff, and I'm really good at that, you know. And even to the point where when I build machines and stuff, inventing things, I'll think about the whole entire invention in my mind first, and then build it. Like when I have all the pieces, I won't put anything on paper usually. I'm starting to try because I want a record of it, but I mean, when I was a kid and my concepts and stuff like that are pretty much all in my head, just like Tesla. No, I think he had more papers, but he probably did them for the same fucking reason I do. A lot of people can do that. That just it's in their head. So, but CAH has that as a side effect. It's been noted in girls, but that doesn't mean it doesn't affect the boys too. It's just that's more of a masculine trait. It doesn't show up as well. So there's a lot more science behind this, but that just answered a couple questions, and other people might have them. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that I can upload it, because fuck all this 27 minutes long and probably like 10 gigabytes. So you guys have a good evening.